Live from the Man Cave in South Parkersburg, West Virginia. Live from the Man Cave in South Parkersburg, West Virginia. This is Robert's Report. Let's talk about it. And now, the host of Robert's Report, Craig Roberts.
Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the ground because you never had the courage. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up.
Welcome to Robert's Report. Here we are again on Sunday, 6 o'clock, a little after 6 o'clock tonight, but that's okay. We was waiting for our special guest to get here. He went to movies, so that's all right. No big deal.
Was it Guardians?
Oh, I didn't go with Kendrick.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kendrick had to pick him up and bring him here. So, but anyway, welcome everybody. This is podcast number 9. We are going to talk about some vaping tonight and some other topics as well. First of all, Scott was not here last week, so let's talk a little bit about what you did. Where were you?
Oh my gosh! So it was a whirlwind. The wife and I went to Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge because it was our anniversary, and that's where we originally got married back in 1999. And spent 4 days there. But when I come back here, I had to travel for work to Kansas City, and that was just a Friday, Saturday, Sunday trip. So flew out Friday, flew back Sunday, and then had to go back to work Monday, and not to mention I was dead tired Monday morning. I don't recommend doing all that.
So how was your airport time on this trip?
Not bad, not bad. We had some. There were storms over Chicago when we were heading back from Kansas City, and hit some turbulence pockets. It felt like riding a roller coaster there. And of course, we had little kids on the plane, and but they weren't scared. They were all like giggling like they were on a roller coaster. So
what a blessing!
Yeah,
what a blessing. That's a rare thing to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason or other, every time I fly for work and it ends up being up and around New York or Philadelphia or wherever, there's always a delay. And sure enough, I was traveling this past week as well, and I had a 38-minute delay in Richmond, which made me miss my flight in Philadelphia, so I got to sit there for 2 hours for the next flight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Such an exciting place to be, too.
Oh, yeah, I actually had 4 flights, so there and back with a hop each way. So, basically 2 out and 2 back, and none of the four flights had a single delay whatsoever. They were all on time. No, they were all Southwest.
Southwest. I love Southwest.
Got to buckle up. You got to have the MMA training if you go there.
The only thing about Southwest that somebody taught me was checking in 24 hours in advance, because I'd totally forgotten about the ABC seating, but I got him like 3 out of the 4 times I got him B group, and I actually got either a window seat or an aisle seat, whatever
I usually
wanted.
get the early bird check-in. They have an early bird check-in for like $15 or something.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But yeah, but I did make it back, but I could have actually drove back from Richmond quicker than what I flew.
Yeah, I heard about that, or I saw you were stuck in Philly.
But you should have seen the car that I had for a rental. Man, that made my trip. If I didn't do anything at all else for work, the rental car that I had would have been worth just that. I had a G50. Somebody help me here. It was crap.
Infinity.
Thank you. Infinity G50.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
300 horse.
Oh, yeah. That's probably a really nice car.
That's a sedan, right?
50,
not a SUV.
Correct. Yeah, it was a sedan. 300 horse. It was registered for 180 mile an hour. Had a Bose sound system in it.
They didn't just give you a rental. They gave you a race car almost.
There's a woman I work with that has a Q85 SUV or something like that, and it's like $80,000 is the starting price, and it's got like the leather that the seats. Well, first of all, it's 4 captain's chairs, and the leather that the seats are made out of look like leather furniture in your house. I mean, it's it's the craziest nice thing I've ever seen in my life, and like wood finish, and The back has its own climate control and its own stereo.
Oh wow.
I've always been partial to the. I think it's the Q35, the coupe car that they have. It's a real sleek car, real nice kit car. It's a real clean car. Everything's real smooth and everything on them. That's one thing Infinity's always been good about is nice, classy cars. Like I feel like they take a page out of kind of like how the Lincolns are in their book, as far as like in comparison, like how on the luxury side, like when you get luxury, you get luxury.
And they are Honda, correct? Is that right? No, Acura is Honda. What is Infinity owned by one of the big ones?
It might be.
Well, that's Toyota.
Lexus
Toyota. It's Lincoln and I think it's Ford and Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
And then it's Chevy and something else too. I can't remember what the one. Oh, it's Chevy and Cadillac. So it's got to be one of those. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, all really nice cars.
Well, I have to admit, there is this one place in Richmond where there's no chance at all where there could be any cops. So, and it was a long entrance ramp going up. I said,
oh, so it's kind of like
see what this son bitch will do. So I stomped it, and sure enough, man, that thing threw you back.
I got it on the entrance ramp.
Yeah,
no.
I gotta say, when you're going on Corridor D, when you're going down Corridor D Hill toward the bridge, it is absolutely impossible to withhold your desire to do over 100 miles per hour.
Oh, it's pure bliss too.
Yes.
Everything's so smooth since it's still nice.
Every car I've ever had has went over 100 miles an hour on that stretch.
I think the first time whenever I got my
Steve
Jetta,
Stevens is not listening tonight.
when I first got my Jetta, that was the playground.
All right.
Special guest.
Yes, we have Corey with the
Vape Advantage.
Vape Advantage, and my son Zach here. He has the Whatever Chat. He's actually has vaped before, so thought he'd be a good one to have on here. Plus, it's just cool having my son on the show every now and then. So
I guess
I agree.
If
I've
you
known
think I'm that
Zach
cool,
since.
yeah,
I've known Zach since. Gosh, I don't even know how old he was. He was a little kid. So
yeah. So Corey, let's go ahead and start out here a little bit. If you want to go ahead and I don't know, what part of the vape do you want to kind of start out with here? What is
why don't you just start with the history and tell us what made you start a vape shop?
Yeah.
You know, how you got in the business, that type of thing.
We originally started our vape business with the success I had with my wife. It was impossible to get her off cigarettes. Constantly, for me, it was easy, I guess. You know, I guess I could have, got rid of the cigarettes cold turkey, but with her, she had smoked since she was 15 years old, and we started with those, basic pen styles, and I worked in the oil field, and Sean Gore did all my EPA stuff. It was actually Al Gore's cousin. And, he was smoking like a freight train with the rest of us out there. And when he came back and he had one, I knew something, had changed and it had worked with him. So he got us originally set up. And that was about 4 years ago. And basically, like I said, I had to kind of force it on my wife. But when the technology advanced to where, my wife was able to actually quit, that's when we decided to start the business. That was out in Illinois, and we had moved back here, and there wasn't really any shops in the area that knew what kind of technology I was carrying around at that point in time. It was just the Cigalikes, as they call them, and, so that's what we did. We originally started in Athens. We went up there because there wasn't any vape shops in that area. So we went up there, and Athens is a unique economy. A lot of businesses don't make it after 2 or 3 years up there. So we learned a lot up there, and then we took our inventory and stationed up over on Emerson, and it's turned out really good for us.
So the Athens shop is gone?
Yeah, the Athens shop is gone. We still we have a vendor up in Athens. We also manufacture e-liquid as well.
Gotcha.
So we're still vending to one of the little smoke shops up there, the hippie shops, the import house type setting. There's a new one. It's called the Silver Serpent. If you're up there, they carry some of our product up there. So that's a little bit of history about us, but you
So
know.
I missed it. I may have missed it. Did you say you used to smoke as well? Or
Yes. I smoked two to 3 packs a day. I mean, that wasn't full cigarettes. I was always in and out of the truck, and in the oil field, you know, you have no smoking zones. So I mean, you take into account that you're throwing a lot of cigarettes away in and out of that truck. But yeah, I was a pretty heavy smoker myself. So
do you feel better? I mean,
I also, you know, I'm a fitness type person. I like to work out 5-6 days a week, and I still worked out when I smoked. But I mean, the length of ability to work out in the gym is just night and day difference, and that's a lot of what we hear from our customers. You know, a lot of smokers first come in, they're like, you know, I've got to quit. I can't get up the flight of stairs anymore without, you know, having to stop halfway. And with a lot of them switching over to vaping, they seem to get their breath back. You know, their lungs feel a lot lighter. And typically when somebody switches over from smoking to vaping, they're going to get rid of a lot of the buildup, the black on the X-rays that you'll see in a long-term smoker. We've even had some cases. There's a Ohio Vapors Facebook group, and Ohio State University is doing some of the medical studies on vaping. And this was somebody that had records as a smoker, X-rays of the lungs and so forth. And when they did some of the studies on him 3 years of vaping later, he had the same signs as a non-smoker. As far as, you know, the big thing that we hear in this industry, people that aren't as educated is, oh, well, you get fluid buildup in your lungs. I hear that that water vapor gets trapped in the lungs, and the fluid
popcorn lung.
popcorn lung. Yeah, that was the topic last week on your guys' show. I saw.
Yeah.
But a lot of the fluid level tests and just the overall studies, they can't really tell the difference between a vapor and a non-smoker, is what some of the, you know, short-term studies have shown.
so what do you know about the cannabis oil side of it? Anything at all?
I know, I know a good bit about that side too. Obviously, it's illegal at this point in West Virginia. We do have some of the different vaporizer apparatuses that we sell, that I know a lot of consumers use for the cannabis oil and stuff. You can it's a different technology, different coil styles. It's not the same. The viscosity is obviously a lot different.
Usually wickless.
Yes,
Definitely wickless, because that does 100% of the difference between a good one and a bad one.
Right. And we've actually I recently ordered some of the ones with wicks, and boy, customers are really upset about those. They do not work.
It's just like it seems like with which, I mean, it comes with even a lot of just the E-pen technology. Period. It's like with the I think it's like a rope style wick,
Right, the silica wick.
that stuff, and it seems like that's a commonplace when it comes to that. Which, I mean, in mass production, it works great. I mean, if you run out of a coil or something, it's easy to toss it and be able to push it back.
Are we saying the cannabis oil is so thick that a wick is not required? Is that what we're?
It's not saying that, but it's
better without.
It is much better without. There are ways of getting around it, which a lot of what I've seen is like with the CBD cannabis oil, which is a lot of like the qualities of like just well-being of hunger and fatigue and everything. It helps with a lot of that, but just with the process of way they make it makes a big difference.
Right.
I know for sure that there are tincture kits out there you can buy from like Amazon, and what they do is if you have access to the oil or in the wax form, you can tincture it down to where it's a vapable substance, which in that scenario makes it a little easier.
Right. And I'm not too educated. I'm like still learning a lot about the process, especially with customer feedback and so forth. But it seems that there's also apparently we had this one customer come in that said she was using alcohol. Yes, that kind of threw a red flag up to me. Like, okay, and in our industry, you know, alcohol is not. That doesn't sound like something you want to inhale. But she was definitely using alcohol to thin it out.
If it's not wood alcohol, you know, if you like used Everclear or something.
Right.
There's technology out there now that essentially does the same thing as the cannabis vaporizers. It vaporizes the alcohol and you inhale it the same way. So I mean, obviously
okay.
it's
Well, they've had those in
it's not
bars.
bad
They've
then.
had those in bars.
But I
all
mean,
along,
it's essentially
So it's safe?
Yeah, it's
what-
the same thing as like you would be drinking it, but I mean, with anything else, it's a quicker delivery system. It's
Right.
easier for it to get into your system, and most people notice right away. And they make ones that are even these globes where like it'll be a bottom glass where they'll have something that's like alcohol
Glows.
burning,
Yeah.
and then a globe that'll vaporize the alcohol, and then you hold the globe at a down position so that it collects up, physics, gas
Right.
rises. So you inhale the fumes that are coming from that without having to spend, $400 or $500 on a machine
device.
that does
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I remember they had some bars here in Parkersburg one time that were using like a vapor alcohol delivery systems. It's just kind of like a gimmick,
Right.
but it
Yeah.
did the same thing. And it basically, you paid so much per shot, and but
Right.
since it was vaporized, it would get you buzzed quicker.
Quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, question for you about the business. Are you still in the oil field, or are you doing well enough that this is your full-time gig?
This is now my full time. It was a weird, long story short, that the previous company I worked for got involved with a Ponzi scheme, and the receivership, the attorneys out of Texas took over, and I started doing contract work for them. Which initially, when we first got into business, there was lots of work, a lot of income, and I just luckily it's as the work has faded out on the oil side, this has picked up. But it was definitely in the early first year and a half, the vape business was not enough to support our family. But I'm still doing it, and we're getting ready to kick back into production, so I may go back to that. I'm not sure. We've got a predicative date, August of 2018, where if nothing changes, we'll be out of business. We'll be unable to sell 80 to 90% of the products that are
You're
currently
talking
in
about
our
because
store.
of the new laws?
Yes,
Okay.
because of the new regulations, which came down August of 2016, and basically gives a 2-year window that if nothing changes, only the millionaires and the billionaires are going to be able to pay the licensing fees and everything else. But that's just for the juice. And what the industry seems to be doing is they're wanting to set a date of February 15th of 2007. Anything after that, which is all the technology that pretty much works for the vaporizers. When I mentioned Cigalikes, those are like sucking through a straw. They don't work. That's what you see in the gas stations. That's what big tobacco wants you to think when you think of vaporizers. They don't work because they want to keep you on the cigarettes, keep you sick. It's a vicious cycle with the pharmaceutical companies. Because we've also in our business, we've had a lot of COPD patients come in, and I've seen firsthand through their testimonies, they've gotten rid of their inhalers, they've gotten rid of medications. So from my viewpoint, they're losing some big bucks here with the vaporizers coming in, and they want to push us back to that technology. So some of the big juice companies are actually teaming up with the manufacturers of the Cigalikes, where they come, pre-packaged with some of the hottest juice companies on the market. But that takes away your ability, on this device right here, you can open this up and you can put your own liquid in top of this tank. They don't want you to be able to do that. They want it pre-closed. You buy the cartridges that's already loaded with the juice, and they also get 900% more value for that juice in that cartridge. So there's some economics to that as well. But yeah, if nothing changes, we'll probably be out of business in August of 18.
Wow. I will say, and I think Zach went through this same process, that when they first started doing this, and then it went to these modular mods, and you didn't get just the ones that look like cigarettes. It took me a long time to find a good one.
Right.
One that would give me a good vapor, or one that would last a long time. Or I mean, I bought many mods and different coils and combinations of things before I finally found something that worked well for me.
It's only been the last, I'd say, probably year where the products have been solid, and there's still some jankety companies, but after you've been in it for 3 years, we've kind of picked out the brands that have been reliable and faithful. Because obviously, with products, you don't want to see a lot of broken stuff coming back in. we've kind of picked through those brands. We get some, unsatisfactory customers like, well, you don't have this brand or that brand. And from their point of view, they're not selling hundreds of them to see that 20% come back broken. Mm-hmm. They look really cool and neat, and their technology sounds great. And it's like any other electronic devices. I guess you could say there's just some brands that are going to last longer and, be more reliable and hold up to durability because, let's be honest, something that you're carrying around in your hand all the time, it's like a cell phone. There's some cell phones that seem to break, a lot sooner than others and so forth. So
I feel like the jump in technology's made a huge difference in vaping, though, because like he was saying, I mean, whenever it first really started picking up, I mean, everybody had one of the ego pens, the spinners style ones, with the closed tanks and the coils that you had to buy like every 4 or 5 days. Yeah. But now that they've gotten so many options, and I mean, especially with tanks, I mean, tanks have come a long way. It went from being just the single plastic tanks, and that was with like the little drip tips that you could barely find that weren't anything different, and now they've got these big like the smoke tech tanks and some of the bigger ones where they use the larger coils, and it's like getting the benefit of dripping without having to do the maintenance.
Exactly.
And that makes a big difference.
And I personally I like that because there was a lot of people not being able to get that experience. They wanted the experience of the drip, but they didn't understand the building coils and Ohm's law behind that, and these are electrical devices, and you're building your own resistance, your own coils,
which can get very
dangerous, very dangerous. And that's also something that the government with their regulations is they put a halt. Like you just said, the technology boom that's happened with this and how far they've come. They put a stop to that with the August 2016. No new products are allowed on the market. Which, thank God we've gotten to the technology we're at, because we're here. We're there. We don't really need any more advancements. Exactly. In my opinion,
everything works.
Everything's satisfactory. You feel satisfied when you get that vape. Exactly. But that's part of their tactics here is they wanted to stop innovation, and that's not technically good because that's gotten us to a safe spot in the industry as well. So
exactly,
the biggest innovation in technology that affected me the most and made me the most satisfied was the temperature-based vaping.
Yes. Being able to control your temperature. And
I've got my mod now is temperature, or I have it set to temperature-based, and I have not, since the day that I changed it to that, I've not gotten a single burnt vape ever. Never had that burnt taste again.
Yeah, it has the technology in it for those that don't know. With the temperature readings, as soon as they sense that wick or that cotton is dry, it just shuts off. It has a shut off switch, so it doesn't. I think it physically stops you from being able to burn the crap out of it. Right. Yeah. But also back to what you're saying with the temperature control, what I've noticed in consumers that are just starting, it also gives a little bit of a cooler vape. Which makes it easier on the lungs for some of these people that are used to a cigarette type of inhalation. They come to these vapes, and you ever see a smoker that doesn't vape pick up a vape?
Oh my gosh!
I bet you $100 every time that they're just going to cough their head off, and
they'll cough like the Dickens.
Oh, I can't do that. And then when the temperature control came out, it kind of cooled that vape down. You still get the satisfaction, but it's not as hot.
Yeah, that's the same for me. So I run at about 450, and I'm sure that's probably a lot less than what
I think they go as high as 650 on some of them.
Something like that.
But still to this day, if I've it's a different type of when you take a hit off tobacco versus when you take a hit off VG or PG, it's different. For me, VG or PG, I always feel a burn in the throat when I take that.
Right.
I feel like the heavier the PG sometimes deals that too. If you get more PG, it's got more throat hit, as they say in the vaping industry.
Yeah, the more organic, so to speak, in this industry is the pure VG based. Anytime the flavor is all carried in PG, so you kind of you don't necessarily have to. There are some VG based flavorings. But I know from our manufacturing processes, the flavoring all comes PG based, and that's the only PG that we put in, and that's usually a range of 10 to 20% of that entire liquid.
Yep.
So you're talking 450 degrees?
Yes.
Yes. It sounds like a lot, but it's
it's
It is a
not.
lot.
it's more about
It's registering right on that coil.
Exactly.
Of
It's
how
about the
hot that
temperature of the
metal
coil.
is, not necessarily how hot the vape
Yeah,
is.
that's not. Yeah, it's not going in. It's not.
Say
gonna
by the
hit-
time
it's
it
not
passes
hitting your
through.
tongue at 450 degrees.
No, but it does make sense on seeing some of the things where those things have burnt. What
people's pockets
Yeah.
or face.
A lot of that's
that's
user
just the
error.
that's just the lithium ion battery
and that has to
explosion.
do with a lot of people not knowing what they're doing, building these sub-ohm coils with mods that can't handle it. And
And also, there's also shops out there that before we opened our shop, my wife and I loved to travel and go see the different vape shops. And there are still a lot of vape shops out there, and we've had people come in. Well, how do I start one of the shop? And my first response to those people, if this is not a hobby of yours, if this is not something that you're very educated on, you're going to fail miserably, or you're going to hurt somebody. And there's a lot of these people that are selling batteries that go in laptops, and their amperage ratings are for other electronic devices.
Absolutely.
And they put these into the devices, and they're not rated for the type of high drain that e-cigarettes need.
Right.
And
So, is there a special kind of insurance or anything that
there's
a
very
person with
few
a vape
insurance
have-
companies that will cover you. There's actually
Yeah.
we only have one option, and luckily my father-in-law, he's a CEO of Farmers Mutual of West Virginia, and so we had some connections. But there's only one company that will cover.
I'm just curious, because that is a different
and they don't
type
cover
of
very
liability.
much. Yeah, they don't cover a whole lot.
And it also seems like the big nitpick is still nicotine. So I mean, it doesn't matter which way you go about it, whether it's cigarettes or vaping, you're still getting the nicotine. So.
Right. And product insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance, I mean, that's I think it's $30,000 a year for the product insurance. We currently we can't afford it.
it's just salary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's outrageous. But another thing to go back on to as far as vaping safety and everything, with the way that mods are these days too, with the update in mods, like I said, with the technology, is a lot of them won't even allow you to do that. They won't allow you to pass something that's not safe and not viable for the device.
Yeah,
so
right.
a lot of that with control comes into it, and it definitely it's more appealing to people that are like, oh, I'm scared because I've seen so many negative things. People are popping them off in their pockets or on airplanes. It's adding a little bit more security. It's like, well, it's practically dummy proof, virtually dummy proof. We'll
Right.
say virtually because
Right.
anything can happen.
Right.
But it makes it a lot easier for the user to be able to pop in, even if they don't necessarily know a whole lot about it, and still be able to stay safe with the way that the technology is going.
Yeah, and with 95% of the products that we sell, they have safety chips and stuff. They've got the screens on them. Most of the ones that you see blow up are the unregulated mods, and we still have some, but we try to stay away from that. As that's more of the hobbyist side. And unfortunately, with the hobbyist comes the fresh 18-year-old kid that watches the videos of the hobbyist that I want to do that, and I want the same mod and device that he has, and that's all marketing and advertising, that the negative sides of it that this industry causes.
Right.
But the main thing that people have to worry about is these batteries here, just to make sure that there isn't any scraping or peeling off of this outside layer. Where I've seen people's devices blow up is, and when we have customers come in, we always ask them to take their batteries out and show them to us. We provide a service where we rewrap their batteries. But if these, become peeled off and they put them inside, these are metal sleeves in here. If you can see that on the video there. And basically you have metal to metal contact because the plastic sleeve is no longer there, and that's even with like you're saying, they're dummy proof. That's the one thing that will still cause them to explode, where people just are scraping them up on their chargers or whatever else.
Exactly.
But
Just from wear and tear, toss them in the mods. Sometimes just not thinking about it and them scraping on in a corner, or somebody tries to stick one in their pocket, God forbid.
right.
So, how much does one of those cost, like that right there?
This is a high end. This is what they call a resin box. It's a cartel mod. These can retail as high as $200 to $250. We have them in the store, I think, for $180. But that's just basically this this material here on the side is what they call resin, and no one mod that they make is the same pattern or design. So that seems to be a big thing in this industry. I want something that nobody else has.
Right.
I want it to be
like how
the
there's
only one.
like some of the box mods that were floating around for, I think it was Steam Flux there for a little while. Some of those, they were popping up everywhere, and they were getting, I mean, they were all unregulated devices, and I mean, thankfully they kind of knew what they were doing with that. But I mean, everybody would look at it and be like, "Oh, I want that. I want the next big thing." It's like as many batteries as you can pack in there, and as low as you can get the ohms and everything. It's like, what about safety?
Yeah, and these kids are building. They're building their own. You know, there's a lot of DIY kits out there, and that's a big thing with today's day and age. Not just with vaping, but everybody wants to do DIY work and stuff like that, and that's where it gets kind of dangerous, where a lot of these people aren't familiar with soldering and, you know, the different fuses that are supposed to be in there, which I've seen a lot of. We've actually confiscated a few boxes where, you know, they have like a screw or something inside of this box making contact, and, you know, we kind of leave it on the shelf there for display to kind of give a safety example.
An example of what not to do.
We're not shy to steal, you know, actually take product away. You know, we usually give them a discount
in here for a reason.
Right. So
and sometimes they don't even know that either. I mean, they're just like their friend will get a hold of it and be like, "Yeah, man, I can make you these sick mods and everything, and make them custom and whatnot." And then you get it, and it's like it looked like Ronald McDonald put it together in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So your mod is what brand, and your tank is what brand?
This is a Cartel mod, and this is the Smock TFE12 tank.
So I thought that looked like Smock, and that's why I was going to ask you that, because I had one of theirs once, and but I wasn't.
Very good products, and a lot of, you know, some of the hobbyists want to come down on that company. Oh, they're mass produced. Everybody has one, and
they work.
I always, you know, quick to respond to those types of people. We all have the same goal, to quit smoking, and after that, I think that the belittling of some of the, you know, regular Joes out there that, and it's an affordable product. You know,
hey, this regular Joe is Kanger all the way. So
Kanger's not
mass
bad.
produced, mass produced or not, their stuff works really well for me.
We've personally with Kanger Tech, we've kind of steered away from them just because, you know, in a percentage base, we had a lot more of those ones coming back, but, you know, there was a lot of them that didn't have problems. So it's different outlook from a consumer standpoint, because when you order, you know, 100 of them and 20 come back, but, you know, there's still 80 of them that still work to this day.
It's funny how we were just talking about how you were quitting or stopped or whatever.
and so I like the entire time the entire time we were in Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge, I didn't take it. So I didn't vape for that entire week. I didn't take it with me to Kansas City. I didn't vape for. So
what did the scenery look like there after all the fires and stuff? I haven't really, you know what? We saw all these horrible pictures and everything after the fires.
It's funny you should say that, and I will take us off on a tangent there for a while to discuss that. It's funny you should say that, because we thought the same thing. We thought when we went down there, we would just see like the whole mountain scene would be black, right? And everything would be gone. What we found was that the fire burned paths. So you would see paths going up the mountain where it was blacked out, or you would drive down a road and you would see where it hit every cabin on that road, but it was because it burned a path, and that's all you saw was everything was completely green, everything looked normal, except you would see these paths where the fire burned. And it wasn't, in the overall scheme of things, it wasn't as bad as what it.
Do you think that's also because, like, you know, maybe the tourist section, and I've been there as well. I was there last October before all this happened. Do you think that, you know, most of the fires are in the outskirts of the mountains that you don't see close to?
We drove through see, I know where. So I've been down there 10 or so times since 1999. So we drove out and about, and then we even looked at a map of where the fires went and stuff like that, and still. Every place where we saw where they had these huge losses, it was still like it just burned in paths. You know, it just it would burn a path, but sometimes it would burn a path where there were a lot of cabins or a lot of businesses. Or
so is Dollywood still there?
Oh yeah, it didn't even get that far. So no problem with that.
You ever been to Dollywood?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's right. You're not a roller coaster person.
Nah, not really.
Which one's Dollywood? Is that the one that we went to? there was some kind of bowling thing or whatever, like the bowling team or something was going to Dollywood, or maybe that was a different place. Maybe
No, that was Kennywood.
That's what it was, Kennywood. That's why.
That place is a waste of money.
Yeah, it is.
Kennywood was.
Oh yeah.
They had
Kennywood
what was the one ride there that was
The Phantom.
even worth? Yes,
The Phantom. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
The rest of them were just like, the only reason they were exciting is he wasn't sure if they were going to fall apart or not. It was like,
Right.
like the White Rabbit, I think it's what it was. Coming off that second hill, just by boom, just hop the hill there. It's like, yeah, it's a little sketchy.
It's like Camden
Things.
Park, basically, except
Right.
they have one big one.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't like them either. I like Marietta Memorial better.
Marietta Memorial.
Marietta Memorial.
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a joke. It's a joke. But yeah, so I went for 10 days without vaping and didn't bother me at all. So I don't know how addicted I am, but when I get back to the house and start watching TV, I want to pick the thing up. I don't know if it's.
I think it's more habits, and that's what
Yes.
comes a lot with breaking the habit of smoking. Period, and of smoking of whether it's cigarettes, cigars, vaping, anything. It's the fixation and the process. It's you're so used to doing the same thing. It's like a bus driver that gets up, he has to pick up kids every morning. Up by 6:15 in the truck, ready to roll. It's like even after years of that, it's like he still feels the need to get out and get on that bus
Right.
because it's a habit. It's
Yeah.
something you're used to doing.
You might have remembered on the podcast a couple weeks ago with Kendrick. I was telling them I wasn't a smoker,
Right.
But I got my wife, who was a serious smoker, to start vaping. But then when I started tasting all these awesome
tasted-
flavors,
yeah,
I
yeah.
became a vapor, and I'm like, nah.
And there's a lot of younger
I
kids.
don't know that I want to do this.
That's the bad the bad side of the coin here. The older and I was actually reading a study the other day. The majority of vapors are over the age of 40, but we still have the younger generation that they do taste good because adults still like the same candy flavors that kids do.
It's like, oh, that looks cool. It's the same appeal as like with smoking. That's right.
Right.
Like a lot of kids, whenever they're younger, it's
Right.
like, oh, that looks cool. I want to do that. But you have no idea.
I have to say, as a non-smoker and a non-vapor, that if I could, of course, we go to Vegas a lot, but you go through them casinos, and it's just like
Stinky. Yeah.
I would much rather walk through one that was just all
Vape.
vapes than
Yeah.
Which with that, I mean,
cigarette smoke.
With that, the I'm sure that the cigars and the tobacco, they're not just smoking like these little pinners. They're not smoking cigarillos. They're getting the big fatties. They're wanting to
Right.
look impressive, and they're wanting to look awesome while they're doing. Because you know what? If that dude loses out money, he's still going to look badass with a
Right.
cigar in his mouth. So, doesn't matter what.
point.
The Al Capone look on it.
But as you were saying with, was it 15 days you went without any vape?
10.
Yeah. I noticed the same thing, as a smoker, I used to fly for business and so forth. And when I'd get into the airport, man, at the end of that 10-hour day, I think it's Chicago that you can smoke inside the airport. And I was fortunate one time to be able to smoke inside the airport in the little smoke rooms. But after the end of a 10-hour day without a cigarette, just having fits. just in a horrible mood. Life was terrible. And with vaping, though, I can step away. I can go several, if I'm around family members that don't approve, or I just like, I don't really want to hear it from them. So I just don't,
Yeah.
I can go without it, and I don't have any withdrawals or any major symptoms or fits or anxiety or anything like that. But, there's so many other chemicals in the tobacco products, the cigarettes, that I think it's not the nicotine that causes those fits. It's
The other active carcinogens.
the other active stuff that's in that. So I'm glad you
agree
made
with you on
that point. It's just that hand to mouth, and we've had a lot of people be successful that use that in a staged process. They smoked, they used the vaping. I had an English guy actually from England came into our Belpre location, and he did 0 for a week, and he was done and out. And there's lots of people out there that use it as a step process. And
So you have a Belpre location?
yes, that's kind of a newer thing.
Where at?
Peddler's Junction, the Washington Square.
inside of
Oh,
it? Okay.
Yeah.
So you went in where
The old Vape
the other
PZ
one
was.
used- yeah.
Oh, so
That
is
place.
that
Where Heck
was
used
the
to be.
question. So is Vape
Yeah.
Easy gone?
Yes.
And
Yes.
completely from Marietta
Yeah.
everywhere
Yeah.
they're
Yeah,
completely gone?
They went out.
Okay.
So
And you were
Same-
talking about you manufacture your own juice.
Yes.
I remember when Vape EC was around, they were carrying somebody's juice from Marietta. Does that person in
Steam
Marietta?
Flux.
Do they
Steam
still
Flux.
make? Do they still make their?
Yes,
juice?
I believe they still.
I think they're still making. Yeah,
they're
'cause
manufacturers in Marietta as well.
They've got like they're in like vehicle with like a vinyl wrap and everything.
I've not
now.
seen
Yeah,
that.
they started a vape van, I think is what that
Something
was.
like that, yeah.
So how is that regulated? Just out of curiosity, of being able to make your own.
It's that part of those regulations. We have a deadline in June where we just have to submit the ingredients and the names of our flavors, the picture of the label. But again, nothing new was allowed to come out after August of 16. Same with manufacturers. So if you weren't a manufacturer before that date, tough luck. You had to pay, I think, a $300,000 licensing fee to get into the game.
That's crazy.
But
And you don't have to send anything through the FDA or anything.
We
like
will. We
Okay.
will. The first submission is in June. It was in December of 16 where they set that deadline, but there were so many companies trying to submit, it crashed the FDA's submission site.
Oh wow.
So, and they pushed it back to June to allow it to spread out to where their servers could handle it. And
It's about like doing taxes during tax season.
right.
Everybody's like, I just want my money and I want it now. And
But there's also standards, you have to have an enclosed laboratory, which we have non-porous walls, either stainless steel walls or the like the restaurants have the white washable walls is what we use. We've got all stainless steel counters. It has to have its own HVAC system.
basically like walk into a doctor's office. and
Right.
That's what
right.
it is.
So
But
is that there
it's-
what they come in like that thing on the left? Is that
that's
vape juice there?
that's a juice bottle, and it also has to have a child safety top, which this bottle does. This isn't one that I manufacture. We just resell this one. But this
is it like oil or is it more like water? Or?
yeah, the viscosity it all depends. Like I was saying,
I can kind of see
depends
it.
on
It
your
does-
blend.
exactly.
So
There's
I do what's called drip blend, and it's much thicker,
like an
more
80-20.
like oil. Yeah.
His drip blend typically is around 80-20. It ranges anywhere from a 50-50 mix to the most popular is 70-30. I would
Yeah.
venture to say this is a 70-30. But as you get into these bigger tanks, when vaping first came out, most of the liquids were 50-50. You try to put those into these new tanks, and the viscosity it
It'll
just
bleed
runs
right
right through the cotton. It doesn't hold the fluid back in the reservoir. So
how much would one like that cost, and how long would that
it last?
I mean, it's hard to say. But
These retail 25. I mean, I'm probably your average user, and one of these bottles, the 60 ml bottles, will last me probably 4 days, and then they retail for 25. And that's the going rate for premium liquids is $25 a 60 ml. House juice prices is about $17 for the same volume.
Yeah, which you were killing it on the on the Old Maiden juice game. Like as far as prices go, just
Yeah.
couldn't compete.
Now, see,
with
for
that.
me, I only vape at nighttime. I don't vape at work at all, and a 60 milliliter. That's a 60 milliliter
yeah.
bottle. Probably lasts me a month.
Yeah. Whenever I was on a regular rotation, I would say probably about once a week for 60 mils for once a week, and that
Right,
would get me
yeah.
through the week.
But see, I don't ever go into any zones or places of work where my work, I can vape all day,
Exactly, yeah.
so I'm probably your, averaged for our consumer base. I'd probably say I'm the average. There's people that go through this stuff way faster than I do.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
There's some people that'll blow through 60 mils. I mean, even
In a
in
day.
I bought an 8-ounce bottle from Tasty Puff once because there was this flavor that I really
I remember
liked.
hearing Tasty Puff last
And
time.
That
There's a few other
lasted
people that
me-
talked about Tasty Puff.
That freaking lasted me 4 months or something.
It's like a, what, 100,
Yeah, no,
180
no.
milliliters or something like that.
Yeah. So the cool thing about the 8-ounce bottle is only like $59 or something.
That's not
like
bad.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have some consumers, they have their one flavor and they don't ever
Yeah.
switch. And
Me, it's
we usually work
mine's
stuff
peanut
out.
butter and banana. Anybody who makes a peanut butter and banana,
Elvis.
and they make a hellaciously
Yeah.
good. But this one, Tasty Puffs, is called Monkey Nuts, and it's even
Right.
better. It's even. I've had
The names in this industry are
Oh
just
my God.
absurd.
I've had the Elvis, and this kicks the Elvis ass.
Right.
It's just better.
I had a hard time trying to find peanut butter for some reason. It was one of those ones. It was
Some of
like,
the peanut butters taste like shit. Though.
Yeah,
That's-
it's a weird
yeah.
flavor. It's a very weird flavor to nail down.
One of my business partners. I also have a wire company where we sell for the hobbyist side, and he has a brand, GI Juice. Mike, he was special forces in the Army, and he had a peanut butter flavor called D's Nuts.
That's good.
Monkey nuts? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
monkey
nuts.
It's kind of like that one. What was it? Monkey something that was. It was a Ben and Jerry's flavor. Monkey butt. I think it's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a Ben and Jerry's one that was like that. It was banana and
Sweaty balls.
vanilla or something like that. Sweaty balls.
So do you tell many people that you smoke monkey nuts?
No.
What you smoking on? Monkey.
Well, you always thought it smelled like. When I smoked it in front of you, you thought it smelled like pancakes.
Pancake syrup,
pancakes. Cotton candy is what I hear the most. Like, oh, it smells like cotton candy.
I like the.
That's like the go-to for everything.
Yeah,
It's like it's strawberry, raspberry, cherry. Well, it smells like cotton
I
candy.
like
candy.
the
Listen up.
grape that smells like the bubblegum grape. That's my other favorite flavor.
Yeah,
That's
we
not
have,
too bad.
We have
Grape-
some of those.
Grape is another one of those. It's a very, very touchy
Yeah.
flavor. You got to
Yeah.
get a good grape in there, otherwise it tastes
Yes.
it tastes very bland.
I
and
totally
fake.
agree with you. But the ones that taste like Hubba Bubba bubble gum or
Yeah,
something like
Yeah.
that, or
we
bubble
actually
gum.
carry. We actually carry. I forget what they call the line. It's like Bubblicious or something,
Yeah.
and it's all the different flavored bubble gums.
Oh, wow.
And we have the grape and the watermelon, the strawberry. It's a entire juice line that we carry. So you have to check
My
it
weakness
out.
was always black cherry. Just about anything that had black cherry.
That's
in
my
it.
weakness. In
It's a
soda,
hard one,
so-
though.
That's
It's a very hard one to manufacture. I remember trying to. It's waxy.
The only one that I found that was semi decent was I think it was Sour Vapes. Was the company?
Oh, yes,
that made
yes,
it like
yes, we carry them.
They had the rectangular
Yeah.
bottles there.
They switched. They switched to these bottles right here. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
They don't
I
make
like
a peach.
that.
They-
right
they
there.
were-
Let me see that thing. by
they
the
were
way.
cool bottles.
I've never seen one of those.
this is a vape specific bottle here. Somebody Gorilla Bottles came up with their own. You know, they couldn't find a child safety bottle that worked well to fill these devices. You remember those glass dripper bottles?
Oh my gosh,
They were just horrible to fill these things up. So somebody designed and patented that bottle, and it seems every vape company out there has switched to them because it has the child safety. You don't have to put a separate top on and send a second
Yeah.
piece.
Not to mention, it's easy to slip in your pocket.
What's that
too.
called again?
That's a big deal.
Zach, sour what?
Sour
Sour
vapes.
vapes. They make there's like a watermelon and black cherry,
Sour
like
apple.
a sour apple. The sour apple,
Yeah,
is
blue
pretty good, too.
raspberry. Yeah, and a lemon. Yeah, we carry that. We carry that line as well.
But yeah, those are some pretty good flavors as far as those
So
go.
peach is my flavor, not vaping, but
Right.
so
Black
do they make
cherry
a peach.
bang.
Yeah, we have a peach.
something like that. Yeah.
We have a straw. Well, we don't have it. We don't have a straight peach. What I've noticed in a lot of the mixing part of it, a single flavor, it needs something to cross with to really pop. And some of these bigger companies, I personally have this belief that they're going to the candy companies directly, because all of the flavoring that you're using, are coming from candy manufacturers wholesale
yeah.
where they send that, flavor base. But I think they're going to these candy companies and contracting something to where they get the direct flavor from there where they just add the VG to it. But
Or maybe even going to like some of the source flavor companies where you
Right.
just go off, you pay them so much money, and they're like, find us a flavor that's close to this
Right.
thing, this particular flavor,
Right.
and then they produce it for you.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
But for the average people like ourselves, the small mom and pop shop, there's about 3 or 4 flavor companies to pick from, and you just have to know which ones taste like wax and which ones are worth a hoot.
It does seem that there's a lot of athletes nowadays that are vaping. I mean, they're
Like vaping cannabis
this
stuff?
cannabis vaping,
Yeah.
What was his name?
Nate Diaz.
Nate Diaz, yeah.
See, that's what brought it. Some huge UFC fan.
Yeah.
In his last Conor McGregor fight,
Right.
they ragged on him for smoking, or I should say smoking, vaping cannabis oil during his interview.
Right.
But
I mean, it could have been CBD too. I mean, for all they know, there's no way
Could
of
have
proving
been.
that.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Could have been.
actually,
Yeah.
he did say it was CBD.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
and with that, I mean, with a lot of states, there isn't much regulation for CBD because I mean, it doesn't get you high. It gives you the
It's legal in 50 states. Yes,
like I was talking about, it gives you the hunger and the ability to sleep. For people that are insomniacs,
Right.
it gives them the easier ability to sleep too. So I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it for that, but it's like there's such a negative stigma with it. Period. That everybody's just like, oh, you're talking about cannabis, keep it off the table.
Right.
You don't want to hear about it.
Well, what it is with the CBD, I've been doing a lot of research in this because it kind of goes hand in hand with our industry, and I think that's something that we're very interested in to get on the forefront with some of the medical marijuana and so forth. But there's naturally occurring cannabinoids in our brain, and because I've had some customers who we also sell CBD products in our store that people vape. They use tinctures, which is just drop on your tongue. There's lotions and creams that we sell. And I've had some people come in, they're like, I took this CBD and boy, it just really got me high. And I'm thinking to myself, it's all in your head.
Yeah, I was to say a placebo effect, probably.
More than likely, but there's also some studies coming out that there's these naturally occurring cannabinoids in our brain that your body produces, just like serotonin. That some people have higher amounts, so that when they take the CBD, it reacts and they feel some of those effects, even though it's not, the THC based.
Or even simulating like the way that the dopamine.
But the lady was also
too,
telling me she had all these surgeries and the amount of painkillers she was on. I was kind of like, I don't know if there's any effects of, taking the two together, but
I would say that it depends, but I mean, there is a certain thing, kind of like how with pills they suggest not to drink alcohol with
Right.
them because you get heightened effects from it.
Right.
I feel like a lot of that can play into each other as
I
well.
agree.
Because you're inebriating yourself in two different ways, essentially.
Right.
It's like whether it's from the painkillers and then you're getting the CBD on
Right.
top of it. I mean, yeah, you're probably bound
Right.
to feel something eventually.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I am not a fan of the nicotine thing at all. If it's something or other that is going to chemically get somebody addicted to something, I don't agree with it.
Right.
But on the other side of that, if there are medical or health benefits
of it.
that I wish they'd do more research on it and see what they could, because I'm sure that this could be a way of delivering medicines,
Yes.
Absolutely.
or I mean, I mentioned the thing with athletes. I mean, they have supplements. I mean, pre-workout stuff,
Right.
after-workout stuff. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, just
It comes down to whenever you're dealing with that substance, of whether it's fat soluble or if it's taken by another means. Because if it's fat soluble, then I mean something that's going to go into it. Which I mean, in the case of cannabis, then it's easy because it's just like you're consuming it. But if it depends on the delivery on how I guess
How it works with your body.
right, yeah, on how your body is going to absorb it whenever it comes to it. Because it's an interesting thought, though. If they could find a way to be able to provide athletes supplements through a vaporizer in a small way, even if it was just like a pure VG mix with like a little flavoring, just to make it appealing,
Right, just
I'd
like
be able to
children's
get
cough
that.
syrup, why they add the flavoring to it. The other thing that I
Right.
think the only benefits to it, I mean, the only reason you'd want to vaporize something, you think about medications and how many people, somebody that's sickly that's taking all those pills, that has an effect on the
my goodness,
the
yes.
liver and the kidneys, and I think that's where I would think that they would shift over to the vaporizing, where taking so many of those pills is going to start to have
Oh,
an
right,
effect on
yeah.
your body trying to break that down, whereas vaporizing, it's already in its purest form, I guess you could say.
Well, I can't see how they couldn't do that. I mean, Zach, growing up when you had asthma, I think you've pretty well grown out most of it now. But
Oh, yeah.
but back in the
I'll just deal
day,
with it now.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
But I mean, as far
had
as
the
inhalers,
little
yeah.
inhaler thing. Well, the nebulizer thing that you used to. I mean, when you were real little. I mean, that's.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's really no difference.
No, there isn't. You're exactly right. It's essentially the same process. It's just the way that they went about it. I mean, obviously the technology's coming very, very
Right,
far since
right,
then.
right.
So
Right.
they're able to reduce the size of their machines and make it more portable and less of an eyesore for the people that absolutely need it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I could definitely see a big benefit to that. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, a lot of people in the industry, as far as like when it comes to pharmaceuticals, they're probably going to argue, well, if you're doing that, then isn't that going to affect how the person's breathing? Because you're still inhaling something, you're still taking in something into your lungs and then breathing it out. Isn't that going to?
I think it should still be regulated. You know,
but in small dosage,
there's still got to be, you know, prescribed by somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, rather than just, you know.
And even with some of the companies like out in California now that are mass producing pens that are already loaded with the oil ready to go, they could go some similar route with that, and then it's like 2 to 4 puffs.
They have. I've seen them.
So I mean, 2 to 4 puffs, you know, daily or whatever prescribed. I mean, that's going to be a lot better in the long run, and probably more cost efficient too.
Right. And what I've seen lately, you remember those T3D tanks by Kangertech?
Oh yeah,
I'm seeing these oil tanks coming out. I won't promote the Farms company that is making, but they come in these little plastic square cartridges, and they have like a 0.5 mil glass preloaded with, I think it was like this customer showed me it was 66% THC and like 3% CBD when they were out in California, and it has a universal thread. All of the vapor products come with the same connector devices, so it could be screwed on to any device that you're currently using, as long as the power goes down low enough for what it's regulated for, and they just sell them like that preloaded, and
which is, I mean, essentially the way that they I feel like they should go with as far as like with cannabis delivery. Now on the vaping side is for that industry. I definitely think that the having the choice of juice and having your own control over it, because I mean everybody's different.
There's also companies that you mentioned you don't like the nicotine. There's a lot of these companies, and something I could see happening in this industry. All of their regulations are with the nicotine, and some thoughts I've had and some stuff we've been playing around with is the raw CBD crystallets and dissolving it in the juice. There are current companies out there that believe that CBD and the health effects of that. Somebody trying to quit smoking, putting the CBD juice only and having them switch over to vape. That I could see a big transition going to the CBD, because basically, you have a flavor in the VG, in this bottle here, and you can either add nicotine to it or you could add CBD juice to it. And I think that might be a direction that we see if the regulations don't stop, because it switches categories.
Start focusing more on just the juice of the VG-PG ratio, and then allowing the customer to be in control of how much nicotine or THC or CBD that they get instead.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a smart move. That would be probably the easiest way they could get around it without having the government being like, well, we got to dip our fingers in this, because we've got to have because if it doesn't have a regulation, we're going to find a way to regulate it.
Another thing I could see too is with migraines. I could see that'd be an easy way of.
It helps. We've had some customers come in that they vape. We have vapable CBD products that we sell, and we had a customer, 20-something-year-old kid comes in, and his mom's got migraines, and bought one of the CBD bottles and went and gave it to his mom, and she takes a daily dose of it every day, and it actually prevents. Not only does it help medicate when she has the migraines, but it prevents the migraines. So I firsthand, I think there's some rules and regulations. We're not allowed to say, some health benefits of, just like any other supplement that's not regulated.
It's a very touchy subject right now with it, the point, which I feel like that there's a lot more acceptance coming to it. Like as we go by, people are becoming more acceptable.
As more and more people try it, and word of mouth goes, well, my friend Susie tried that, and it's not, as evil as they
People love having a genuine testimony from somebody that can trust. So I mean, if you hear it from somebody you trust, be like, oh yeah, I did this and it works, and be like, all right, well, I'll try that too, because I also have the same problem situation that I need to take care of as well. So.
It's kind of like your tattoo artist. I mean, you guys will interest, so I guess. So let's switch here just a little bit.
Wait. One more.
Okay.
Do you sure? Is the gummy kisses your favorite? Because I just sniffed this and it smells pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's my go-to.
like
That's what I've been hooked on for the last month and a half. So
you should have brought some in here for Scott to sniff. So
I sniffed it.
Have a sniffing
Just have
palate.
maybe we'll have a sniffing show one week.
That would get all kinds of
blindfolded.
I got a slew of hot peppers in my garden. You just wait till the fall. We'll see. We'll see about that.
I'm not sniffing your peppers. I can just tell you that.
Well, one's a Peter pepper, so I don't think you want to get caught sniffing a Peter pepper, anyways. People might start asking some questions.
So did you any of you celebrate Cinco de Mayo?
Yes.
What'd you do?
We drank a pitcher of margaritas at Tampico. And Alec Ortiz was DJing there. Hi, Alec.
I didn't. I didn't. I celebrated today with my trip through the Taco Bell.
Do you remember, by the way, when we went to the cabins and drank all those margaritas and had to this day, that was the worst hangover I've ever had in my entire life.
Oh, my God.
To this day.
Yeah, that was bad.
Tequila always does it the worst to me. I get the worst hangovers from tequila. I do not know why, but I get the worst, similar to a migraine headache you can possibly imagine, and it's always tequila, nothing else.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why.
Yeah,
I think that's with anybody.
I think mine is Sammy's Beach Bar rum now. Missy will have to fill you in on that one. Our Rock on the Range trip last year was not good.
I remember hearing about this one.
It hadn't even started yet. It was Thursday when we were just getting everything set up. I was already ticked off because we pulled into the cool spot over there in Coolville.
Yeah.
And we had our freezer hooked on the back. We had a little trailer hitch thing, so we put the freezer in. We just stopped to pick up some ice. So we pull in, and of course this idiot pulls his car like right in front. I don't even know why he had to pick that spot when there was like 3 or 4 other ones. But anyway, that's beside the point. I put the thing in park, which I thought, and the stupid thing was in between park and reverse or something or other. And whenever I got up out of the seat, the thing coasted into this guy's car. So I was already ticked off about that whole situation when we got there. But yeah, that was bad. You have to ask Matt about that too. Matt had his feel of it.
Didn't you back into your own truck too?
That was another. That was another. Yeah,
that's a completely different scenario.
Yeah, that's a different one.
Yeah.
That was Easter one year. I just backed right into it. But yeah, Sammy's Beach Bar rum. That's a completely different scenario. I will not be doing that again.
I feel like I am one of the rare cases of not getting hangovers, because the most I've ever had from a hangover is like an upset stomach, and I've definitely I've been there. I've been like so pissed drunk that like I'm throwing up and like, oh my God, am I gonna wake up tomorrow? Than that, but like I've never had a hangover there.
Wow,
it's weird.
You're lucky.
I don't know how.
This hangover I had with your dad was so bad that the friends were with us. She gets migraines, and she had to give me her prescription migraine medicine for me to even make it through the day.
Oh, wow.
It was that bad. I never had a hangover.
You didn't try the old trick to take another shot the next day?
No, I'm telling you.
Put a shot in your coffee or something like that. Isn't that
They say the best thing for a hangover is another drink.
This wasn't technically possible. It was that bad.
Yeah.
If it was anything like the Rock on the Range thing, I could barely have a piece of toast the next day. I mean, I was contemplating not going in that day. It was so bad. And then, of course, never mind. We're not going to go into details. We'll take that offline.
So we're getting lots of comments on Facebook, people saying you're awesome at making juice. So you're getting complimented out there.
I mean, I'll be another advocate for that. I'll say that your juice is good. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I don't care who I throw under the bus for this. You make better juice than anybody else has in town. Most consistent. I'll say that for the most consistent. And that's not just me tooting your horn, because like, if I believe in something, I'm going to believe in something.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. And I feel like that your shop, the way that you set up the atmosphere and everything with the way that people are, everybody's very friendly and very knowledgeable. I feel like you've done it the best out of anybody. Because I mean, there's been plenty of vape shops in town that have been around, and they were playing more onto the point. It's like trying to get people suckered into the ego pens and everything, and it was just not a good place. And it put a real bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
They also
really did.
No pun intended.
They also seem to take them through each stage. You know, there's what we call the 3 levels. You know, this is the high end. There's like starter sets, there's mid-level range, and then you have your top end, like what I have here. And with our business plan, I'd look at them and tell them, hey, I'd love to tell you, sell you this first pen and then have you come back, sell you the second, mid-level range, and then go up to the top. If this is something, that you think you could get into as a hobby, or if that's the type of personality that you have, go ahead and drop the money now, instead of, spending $30 now and then $60, $70 later and then $150 again.
Right.
I just think honesty is the best approach, and being fair and providing a low cost.
So do people buy this across? I mean, I guess you can buy it across state lines, but do you ship
on
it
the internet?
Ship it over? You have an internet site too?
Yeah. We have blackdogreserve.com. You can order our juice. We keep a few. We kind of transition and put different products on there depending on what we have on hand. But primarily, I don't know. It's anytime anybody finds us on the website, they seem to. My wife always pulls them in and like, well, just call me at the shop. So we haven't been able to gauge too much of the traffic of our website, because after somebody orders once or twice, they just end up calling and my wife takes a phone order. But yeah, we ship out several packages per week.
Yeah, I found as a business, even if you don't get sales literally from there, you
still have to have it.
You got to have a website these days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's done on the internet.
Yeah.
Everything has a source.
I get, how many hits, I get during the week, and I don't hear anything from anybody, but, people are still going
checking
in there
it out.
at
Yeah.
That's one thing that's hard to get with the internet audience too, is there's a certain ADHD aspect to it. It's like you got to be on it, otherwise their attention's somewhere else, because you're only a click away from someone else.
Right.
That's a big thing when it comes to that. And I mean, even with sales of any sort, just your total appeal and getting people to genuinely want your product and keep coming back. It's hard to keep customers coming whenever they're like, oh, well, if they don't have this, I can go here and get it quicker, or I can do this.
The worst invention ever as a business owner is the Facebook message to your business.
Oh, my goodness. I can only imagine.
From, 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the morning, they want to ask you every little question. Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have it in this color? What do you think would be best? I mean, and my poor wife, she's a lot more patient than I am. So she handles the majority of that, which is probably a good thing, because I'd probably just tell them how I really felt after the 4th time they asked me the same question. But, they just, I guess that's considered the same. You can have your Facebook page is more important, I think, than any web page you could ever put out. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. There are some companies that don't have websites that have have Facebook pages that they can survive without. But yeah, some people, they just don't understand that you have a life outside of it. I mean, we love our customers dearly, but there's some of them. It's just like, we're at home now, and
we're all human.
Our hours are 10 hours. We're open 10 hours out of the day. There's got to be some time that you can find to stop in there. But
right,
I think that's and I've heard from other shops and everything. It's a typical thing. They want answers, and they want them now, and they're going to hit that button to message you. And
absolutely no hesitation.
Yeah, right.
They'll be quick on it too. They'll be real quick on it.
Yeah, I'm glad I got just one product, a DJ.
Yeah.
It's this price. You're there. You little travel. Other than that, that's it.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't have to describe.
Right.
But speaking of, I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit. I had 2 really cool weeks. I mean, every DJ gig I have, as far as a wedding goes, is awesome. Just being, I guess, accepted to for people to trust you. I mean, it's such an important
Big
thing.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and people spend a lot of money to do it. But I had one at the Art Center last week, and then last night I had one up at the Marietta Shrine. Actually, I've got pictures. I gotta share with you all
You
here. So,
posted something on Facebook. I saw a wedding.
yeah, this here was one from the Art Center. I just got some new uplights. Those there are.
That looks nice.
They had a coral and green or something, coral green and.
You're saying these are all your lights?
Yeah, well,
Wow.
except for the poles. The
Okay.
poles are not mine, but these up here, the
Wow,
uplights are.
yeah, those look nice.
Did that, and then that was Josh and Laura Medcalf. Congratulations to them. And then I had this one last night. I did a panorama of it, and they had pink and gray and stuff. So, but yeah, they were, and that was
Looks like
Cody Scott. I don't know. You might know Cody Scott or not. Cody Scott and Jessica Fox. So, but anyway, that was both were great weddings, great people, and that's you mentioned about developing that relationship with people,
Right.
and that one there. I mean, I had did Brittany Fox's wedding a year or two ago, and then did her sister's, and it's just cool that people, when you build that trust.
Yeah.
In your business, and people come back to you. But yeah, okay.
So, by the way, related, tell us how you almost shut down the Roberts Report Facebook page last week. What
Oh
happened?
my gosh, I was so pissed off. Yeah, the night before, speaking of, was at the Art Center, and I decided to try streaming some of the dancing that was going on. Of course, they had music playing in the background, and 2 times it got flagged, and apparently eventually Facebook got ticked off about flagging me and just shut me down. And
wow.
and I didn't know about it. So we was getting ready to do our show there last week. I had of all times, I had a table full. I had everybody from Dizzy Boy here from the no knock list, and I get on there and boop, says you were blocked.
So what flags it? Is it the amount of time that it plays? Because we play Shallow Side every week. It's a copyrighted released album on a record company, right?
Right.
It's been on the radio.
I think it's the level.
amount of time you play.
I think it's a matter of 2 things. I think it's the level of copyright, because I think there's different levels. Because if you notice on YouTube, some songs, well, I don't know if you upload anything to YouTube or not. Some levels you can play the music as long as they can show an ad, and then some of them you can't play the music at all, and they'll still show the picture. And then some of them they just delete your video altogether, like Garth Brooks.
And I heard that YouTube will just pay the royalties for you most of the time. So,
Nintendo's
that works.
Nintendo's
for their
one
ads.
of those nitpicky ones. Trying to post anything Nintendo related on YouTube, you can't monetize it. You can't make any money off of it.
Really? Like just showing a frame of like Mario Brothers or something?
It doesn't matter, because I've been on whatever chat, on some shameless self promotion here, on whatever chat, I run a gaming channel, and we also do of just like chats and taste challenges and torture videos, whatever you want to look at it. But anytime that I post any Nintendo related product on the channel, as soon as it's posted, no hesitation, boom.
Are we talking about like a
Copyright.
screenshot of a game, or is that what we're
Just
talking
like
about?
gameplay.
Live video, yeah,
like
gameplay
live
on
video
the
or
video.
gameplay.
Does it even matter? What if you show a frame of a Donkey Kong?
I don't think it would matter,
Arcade
because
game.
Nintendo has.
Does it
really,
have some kind of software that recognizes
Yeah,
I
that?
think it's in a
the
logarithm,
pixel- yeah.
probably.
Yes.
And with as much
Wow.
as YouTube's been changing too, which a lot of people in the YouTube industry have been talking about this, how the game is completely changed. Companies are now having more access and more availability of choosing what videos get their ads. So therefore, if there's something like, well, we don't really think we fit into the comedy bracket, they can completely cut out comedy as a tag together for that, and then anybody that tries to associate with that, they'll shut them down.
them down.
Absolutely.
You know what I don't get about that whole copyright thing too is, I mean, I can understand if you play a whole song of something or other.
Right.
But if you're only playing a partial song,
That's
clip,
why I was asking you, because I think you can play a reasonable amount of a song, 20 seconds or something like that.
Well, this was a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
Which the
just-
nitpick with that, though, that you can get around that with is either increasing the speed of it to heighten
heard
it,
that.
Yeah.
or dropping it to lower it. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot, just
have
a
to be much.
noticeable amount. Because I did this with a King of the Hill song that I added to a video. I sped it up that way it could fit the time punch, because it was like a time lapse, and I didn't get anything back from it. And a lot of it too, I mean, with any of the videos I post anymore, I try to add as much local music into it as possible, because I mean, I'm part of it. So I mean, I try to advocate it as much as possible, because trying to promote local music in the industry the way it is very difficult. Everybody's got a band, everybody's got a page, everybody's got music. But it's a very finicky process anymore with the way that things are going on how they add the copyrights and how nitpicky they are with copyrights. Because 4 years ago on YouTube, I mean, you could monetize just about anything. There wasn't any restrictions on Nintendo as long as it was within reason. Now they've gotten to the point where they're starting to, I guess, industrialize it.
Yeah.
For the lack of a better term, they're trying to make it more streamlined, because they're trying to go with the same pattern as like a TV show or like a Netflix or Hulu program, so to speak. They're trying to jump on that one, which is where the YouTube Red comes in. A couple of YouTubers have had their own YouTube Red shows, and you have to pay a subscription in order to even see those shows. But with that premium, you also don't have to watch ads, and you don't have to worry about waiting for seeing videos.
That's
anymore.
anything anymore. It's like, if you don't want to see ads, you got to pay $5 a month. No matter.
Which I'm glad that they did it. Like
Yeah.
there is a good aspect to that, but at the same time, whenever it comes to that, I mean the ads are what make people money.
Right.
I mean, between that and sponsorships are really what makes a lot of it when it comes to doing anything like chat show related, or trying to get promoted, or trying to make money off of what you do, is getting sponsors, because the monetization only counts for like a percentage of your profits. Like, you have to be pulling in 10 to 12,000 views a video to even make an amount to show up to be worth it. Like, I
Right.
think the minimal for YouTube is you have to make at
30,000?
least $100 to even be able to take that. But I think it's like right in between 10 to 30K views is where they really start paying attention to your channel. And it takes up into that point to even get people to consider you for sponsorship as well.
I guess what doesn't make sense to me is that you would think that would be free promotion for whoever it is that there's. I mean,
Their song, yeah.
especially these artists that are 100 years old. Good example, Iron Maiden. I mistakenly here several weeks ago, I was in here just messing around with the streaming thing, and Iron Maiden was playing in the background. It wouldn't let me post it because Iron Maiden was playing, and I'm just thinking, you know what? They've been around since the beginning of time,
Right.
and you're getting flagged because of that. Garth Brooks is another one. If you go to one of his concerts and you YouTube one, or you videotape one of his concerts and then try to upload it to YouTube,
It won't upload.
it's almost within a couple hours that it's down.
Wow.
They have a
And
major.
then other bands that they totally like Trans-Siberian Orchestra, man. You can go on there and you can see all kinds of awesome freaking footage of Trans-Siberian Orchestra on YouTube. I went to a John Mayer concert. We posted his footage with no problem. I've seen a lot of his stuff on there, but I guess it must be the people like Garth and Taylor Swift that complain a lot that
make the most.
And there's times that I'll go on YouTube to look at a concert, see if I even want to go to it.
I
or
agree
not.
with you. I agree with you totally on that.
Alice Cooper, went to see Alice Cooper there a couple weeks ago, and I mean, he pretty well promoted all of it. I mean, everybody had their cameras up and posting stuff, and no problem. I mean, he even had a professional, when you went backstage to visit him, they even had a professional photographer back here to take pictures for you. Yeah, but I just don't. That's long story short. That's what put us in jail, though. Was streaming that, and it wasn't a whole song. It was just a little bit of dancing. I think it was Nicki Minaj or something like that.
That's
so
all it takes too. That's all it takes. I think 15 seconds is the window that they shoot for now. It's like if it's under 15 seconds, then you're okay. Anything beyond that, then they're putting the hammer down.
And what's even more crappy, it was a horrible recording. You couldn't even understand the music.
It doesn't matter if it was recorded with a potato or not. If it's playing their song, they don't want it involved at all.
It was very, very muffled. So, just to give a quick shout out here, I just mentioned Dizzy Boy Productions. That's a movie. My friend Rich Rule. I don't know if you've ever met him or not, but
he's the one that was in the what was it? Change the Game is what it was. The one that he was.
Yes.
Yeah. I heard about it. I didn't see anything about it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, that was his first movie, I believe. He's got another one called Martown, which I ran the trailer for it last week on the show. And they're working on a new movie right now called The No Knock List. We had Jeff Little, one of your friends, in here last week. He's one of the main producers on it. Brian Stoll and James Quinn. Both of them are from out of town, Pittsburgh area. Both of them have been in movies with Vin Diesel. So I just want to kind of toot their horn a little bit. It's cool to bringing something different into the area and somebody trying something different.
It's nice seeing a couple of indie movie makers actually, getting a little bit of traction with that. Because, our area is not known for much other than, like, country. People love country music around here. And it's nice to break the stigma a little bit and kind of break out of our I guess the stereotype that our area has and bring more to it. Because even with like there's plenty of photographers coming around now that haven't been around before that are really starting to bring their head into service. Which anybody that has a camera thinks they're a photographer.
Yes.
But it's still nice to see people actually getting out there and trying new things and trying to expand the area instead of just having this same loop around that we've had going. Right. Whether it's with the music industry, whether it's with photography, videography, any sort of production wise. Yeah.
Speaking of music, Brian Murray, what's up, man? Bring some more rock music back to Parkersburg. Man, it just went away. We used to get at least Pop Evil now and then, and Bear Fest and all this. Brian Murray needs to bring some more national acts back to Parkersburg.
Wasn't a lot of that on Big Rick, though? Wasn't that whenever he left, that's kind of a lot of that stopped?
Well, that was the promotion, because the Bear would do the promotion and Rick would help out with that. So that's some of it. The other thing was that when the Eagles had the Southside building here, that was the main venue, and when that went away, that done away with one of the best sites for having bands of that size and having a bar at the same time.
And that's another nitpick I'll cue in with as far as like for bands period is there is not much left for venues in this area. And it's really sad that like even in our hometown we can't pull shows together. It doesn't matter if we do trying to get people to come out. It's pain.
I'm going to tell you that I honestly like the Sixpences stage and their area for it. If they just had turning it around from a band's point of view, they need to have a green room and they need to have, a viable load in and load out area there. That's not the best location for it.
It is not. Yeah.
But
which has a lot to do with it too.
But Kim, I have to say, Kim does an outstanding job, and I love Kim to death. She's I got to tell you a little story about Kim and was your band playing the night that I had the fog machine going over there? And
I think so. Yeah. And she was complaining about the fog reaching out into the bar area and towards the kitchen and everything.
I had my hazer on, Scott, and I swear to you, the area up where you eat at was full of fog. The whole I have an arena model fog machine.
It'll put it out. That one house that great grandma and grandpa had for the longest time over there up off of Guyon, that white house.
Yeah.
There was one time that we just let it go. And oh my gosh, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so Kim came back here as we were cleaning up. Craig, you're not allowed to bring the fog machine in here anymore if you can't work it right. So
sorry, Kim, please don't eat me.
Anytime I do something, she posted something a little while back about some kind of cancer fund event she was doing something. And I said, well, I can supply the special effects. So she laughed about it. But
Zach, do you still have a band? Are you still in one? Okay.
Yes, I'm actually in 2 different bands right now. My main band that I'm involved with is Call Me Friend. We're kind of like a punk grunge influence band. Heavy tempos, but a lot of melodies as well.
Call Me Friend is I love Call Me Friend.
Call Me Friend. We just we have one single out on YouTube. It's Skeletons. It's one of our hit songs that we play a lot. We've got a lot of other music that we're in the works of too. We're actually working on producing our own album. We just got an 8-channel mixer with Phantom Power and everything. So we're going to be producing our own music soon, which is great. It helps with a lot of us having different time schedules. Yeah. A big difference. And then I've recently been introduced into another band called Seal for Freshness, which they've been around for a little while, but they're like an electronic core band, like poppy with some like metal riffs, but it's some extra keys in the back too. And I'm going to play drums for them potentially. So.
You're a badass drummer. I mean, you come up. I mean, good God, when did you start? 6th grade, 5th grade drums?
5th grade for percussion, 7th grade technically for full kit and beyond. But yeah, and I've picked it up and put it down various times.
I'd wondered. I don't watch much live music whatsoever. Don't go to concerts. Don't go to local live. And I remember the last time I saw you was when you played that benefit at City Park.
Probably, whatever. Yeah. That's been a long time. Yeah. Lots of talent has come by since then too.
Yeah.
not so conscious about myself anymore. But I mean, yeah, it's something else though, and this band's different because it was the first time I picked up a guitar since Abrupt Awakening period, and I picked up a bass and started playing around and plucking around, and I was like, well, this worked out because I pretty much I picked up a bass and then just went with it. Like I didn't have any prior training to that with it. I picked up a couple of them here and there and plucked around on it, but never really been serious about it. And I have to say, I mean, it's one of the more fun instruments I've played too.
Well, this just as another horn tutor, you have never had a guitar lesson?
Nope.
Ever?
Never had a guitar lesson a day in my life.
Wow.
Not a single day.
And he plays it like it's...
And even with drums, I mean, I learned a good bit of rudiments and everything from Chet Backus, which he was one of the bigger teachers over there at CA. I mean, anybody that's learned drums in the past, like, decade or so has probably either met with him, that at least took lessons from there, took lessons from him, or have heard of people taking lessons from him. I mean, he was very adamant about core rudiments and everything. And I mean, there's a lot of that with people that do more technical style drumming. You need those rudiments to survive.
That was a huge loss.
You can't take those extra 8th and 16th notes in time and not know how to apply them and apply them musically without them sounding good, without having some core basics there with it to learn it.
And then your junior high teacher, Randy Brannon.
Oh my goodness, yeah. He is what really, really set my love for drums into overdrive. I mean, in jazz band just alone, another toot my own horn thing, in 9th grade, we went to nationals for both our jazz band and our percussion ensemble, and across the board, completely wiped out the competition. There was nothing. And it was the same thing for our football team. That was a good year for me, period. His freshman year, it was like we beat everybody in the championships for football. We went to nationals for our percussion thing, for just our 7 of us in percussion, and we went to nationals for jazz band too. So that was really cool. That was a really
Lucas was in that, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
He sure was. He just got married yesterday, by the way.
Yes, he did. Congratulations, by the way. I doubt he's out watching this anyways. But yeah, he just got married.
Yeah, Randy Brannon, he kind of put the discipline in your music as well.
Oh, so. Yes, very much. He was like a big concert constructor, like as far as like for like an orchestra for a band, though. That was his mentality. I want you to be as good as an orchestra without being an orchestra. And I mean, it put a lot to us, though. I mean, it showed, too. It showed with a lot of the kids that came away from that. I mean, a couple of other people I graduated with, like Adam Spar, they're in part of the South of the River band. Wyatt McLeod, he went with it and ran. He was bass in jazz band, and he went on with it and everything. I mean, and it shows that, like, the talent really stuck with that group. And I mean, I miss a lot of that, too. I miss a lot of that.
You know, back to talent here, or not talent, but shows here in the area. Adelphia's been doing halfway decent on some. I mean, they had Great White there a little while back. They had Yin Yang Twins there last year.
Oh my goodness! I really wanted to go to that one just because of the air that came out. I was like, oh my god! Of all people to come to Parkersburg, these guys are going to come
they
here.
had 2 live crew.
They're going to look. They're going to look down the street and they're going to be like, where am I? And where can I get away?
The metal band where the guys wacko and canceled it or whatever.
Puddle of Mud.
Yeah.
God, yeah. Wes Scantlin. Talk about a reject. Yeah. Let's see. Last night at the in Marietta, they had Dennis DeYoung. We were talking about that earlier, but and they're supposed to have Travis Tritt there. You don't like country music?
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah,
I like country music. I never have been a big Travis Tritt fan, but he's all right.
Yeah. But I've back to I would like to see if we had a venue in Parkersburg and an actual promoter. I think the area obviously people came out to the shows, and if they actually built one of those civic centers like they were talking about a while back,
Water Creek.
Yeah, I think Hino's actually. Well, rumor has it
Probably, but that would have been a great area for it.
Oh, yeah.
if they would capitalize that. I mean, they already had the space for it. The parking would have already been set in stone there. The only thing you would have had to do is build the stadium. But I have heard of them possibly doing something with what was it? The dugout is what it used to be. That one area that used to flood a bunch.
Yeah,
but they talked about turning that into sort of an arena, which is kind of odd considering that's like
flood zone,
and it's dead center of the city too. So I mean, people that are nearby.
Norm something or other, I can't remember what his last name is, has that now. Mike Shepard had a MMA event there one night. I think it went pretty well. I'm a big MMA fan. You into UFC or MMA type things?
I watched some of the fights. Yeah.
Have you went to any of the local ones that Mike's promoted?
No, I've seen some of the promotions for him on Facebook and so forth. Though
You should go check it out. What was cool about the one out at, well, it's cool to me anyways, that they sold beer, but
right.
the one out the dugout.
Yeah.
But the ones at the field house are pretty cool too. Of course, they just had that McNeamer, whatever it was, boxing match here. But Mike is doing an outstanding job with promoting that, giving us something different.
Yeah, my buddy Dustin Eckerd that I went to school with, he's I think he's professional now, professional boxer. Yeah, I graduated with Dustin.
Yeah, boxing's coming back, by the way. We were talking about that earlier, and Scott had watched, who was it?
Yeah, so if you go back about 17 months ago, Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury fought for the heavyweight championship. Nobody expected it, but Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko. They were trying to get ready for a rematch, and during that time, Tyson Fury had to go into rehab, so he had to give up the belt. So the number one contender, I think his name is Anthony, basically is like 19-0. He was like a gold medalist from like 2012, basically new into boxing. He comes in, takes on Klitschko so it's this new guy that's the champion taking on Klitschko for the rematch. He takes Klitschko 11 rounds and knocks Klitschko out, and it was the best pro boxing match I've seen him probably since Tyson was good.
Right, right.
It was incredible. So I think that this guy and bouts like that will help bring boxing back.
I miss the Tyson boxing days.
Yeah.
That was
exciting.
Because these guys slugged it out, man. They slugged it out for 11 rounds. There wasn't any standing around and jabbing, just trying to
Mayweather
get
kind
points.
of fighting.
Yeah, right. there was no jabbing for points. So what happened was the younger guy, Anthony, in like the second round, knocked Klitschko down and had him down for like an 8 count. Well, then it looked like Klitschko was gone, and then Klitschko comes back the very next round, knocks him down for an 8 count, and it was just like that. And then they just kept going at each other the entire match until Klitschko finally went down.
Yeah, see, I think that's where, if there is going to be a chance for, if the fight ever happens, for McGregor to beat Mayweather, would be catching Mayweather I mean, Mayweather's going to fight McGregor his same old style that he's always done for.
Hopping around like a pansy.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's going to be jab, jab, run, jab, jab, run.
But I mean, it's essentially what it was. I mean, that's all it was. Is he was hopping around the ring. He was buying time for him. Like, I'm not into the boxing or MMA or stuff like that. Like, I don't keep up with that. But that was one of those fights that, like, I knew that Mayweather, they'd been nothing but, like, up Mayweather's butt and giving him the old fellatio and everything. Freaking basically just spotlighting him. And it seemed kind of unfair to me. It just seemed like there was a lot of bias, a lot of biasness to the fight itself because of that, because Mayweather is such a big
You know what? I sort of agree with you. I bought it, unfortunately. I swore that I would never buy another boxing match on pay-per-view, but if the Mayweather-Conor McGregor one is, I lied, because I will probably buy that one or be at it, one of the two. So, yeah. But yeah, I think if there's going to be any chance for McGregor to win, it'll have to be knocking him out, though. I think it'll have to be
catching him slipping up,
and it'll have to be within the first three.
The thing is Mayweather doesn't knock people out. Does he?
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Is I think McGregor will have to knock him out. It'll have to be, and it'll have to be within the first 3-4 rounds, because McGregor's cardio will go crap. He sucks as a cardio fighter.
Yep.
So.
Well, yeah. I mean, because those MMA fights don't go long, do they?
Yeah.
No, it's 5 rounds on a championship round, and
yeah.
But I mean, don't get me wrong, though. I mean, you still got to be in pretty good cardiovascular. I mean, you're wrestling around on the ground.
Yeah, sure,
right.
True. It's so yeah. So in that case, it's more exhausting than a boxing match. Exactly.
You know, if
cardio is a big thing when it.
If you put them up against each other, I mean, if you put a boxer up against MMA,
so are they going to fight boxing style?
Yeah.
That's
okay.
That's what they're saying. That's what's supposed to go down. Is that? But
yeah.
I think then if McGregor loses, then obviously Mayweather he needs to switch over to MMA style and give a rematch.
He won't do it.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
He'll get his ass kicked.
He'll come out of retirement for that in the first place. He'll just go back to retirement again.
Yeah.
Yeah. What ticks me off about McGregor is he has not defended his belt once. None. I mean, he's got two belts now.
Right, or he'll lose it.
He had a featherweight, and now he has a lightweight belt, and has not defended either one of them. And the UFC has not pressed him to defend.
I mean, he has to over in such a period of time, right? Isn't that the rule?
Yeah, what's the rules?
There is no rule, as far as I know. I mean,
well, you can't just keep it forever without defending it.
It's just whenever they feel like it. They stripped him of his featherweight title, and basically it come down to between Frankie Edgar and Josie Aldo. They fought for the interim and or for the title, I should say, for the one that they stripped McGregor from.
Yeah.
And so now Josie Aldo is the featherweight champion. But technically, Conor never did ever lose, but he never did defend it, so they stripped him of it.
Right.
Now he has the lightweight title, and he has yet to defend it. So I don't know. Maybe they'll strip him of it eventually. I don't know. What I would like to see is another Nate Diaz fight against Conor McGregor in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
And I still think Nate Diaz won that second fight. Controversy, I know, but I think he won it.
Hey, that's what creates an audience, controversy.
Yeah.
Well, McGregor ran from him the whole freaking fight. I mean, it wasn't he knew better than to go toe-to-toe with him, I think.
All right, next subject.
Yep. Hey, we're gonna.
It's all right. Missy's already wanting to take bets on how long it'll take you to not talk about MMA or UFC. So yeah.
Hey, y'all are
thumbs up on that, Missy.
By the way, our next party is this next Saturday coming up, May 13th. If any of y'all are invited, if you want to come over for the fight,
I'll probably be here.
Will be there.
I will probably be here. Why did you have Taco Bell on the agenda? I'm just curious. I gotta find out.
Because that was my Cinco de Mayo celebration.
Yeah.
So what'd you have? What'd you have?
Oh man, I love that new loaded taco burrito.
It doesn't even make any sense. There's no taco to it. There's no real taco shell to it.
The chips that are in it.
The little chicken nugget chips, are those out yet?
I like that thing that's
You've seen those?
the crunch wrap. The crunchy.
Gordita.
I like those two.
Whatever
The
that's
double
called.
down crunch
Yes,
wrap. That thing's gnarly.
Awesome.
I have not met a single person that can finish that $5 box.
Oh, yeah, I
I don't know.
can. I can do it.
I don't know what it is. Like we've had the discussion. I think that it was Kendrick and Nathan actually that we were talking about this. It's like everyone that's gotten
Sounds
that double
appropriate.
down box.
Yeah, I can do it, but I'm full.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I'd get through like half the crunch wrap, and I'd be like,
Yeah,
bursting
the
at the
crunch wrap in
seams.
itself will fill you up.
it's
That's
crazy.
exactly
I mean, that's one of my favorite things to talk
it's
about.
awesome
too.
to eat in a car, though, dude.
Oh yeah, It's the best. It's the best road food because I mean, even
other
as-
than the freaking taco that comes with it, though, the exact opposite. Your whole car is trash.
you got lettuce and tomato and sour cream all down. The
I
side of your
challenge
car.
anybody to eat a taco supreme, a crunchy taco supreme in your car without spilling a single crumb. It's impossible.
And why do they always squirt out the bottom? I mean,
I don't know. It always breaks.
Eating it, and it
Yeah.
goes down your arm, and you're driving. And
The thing is here's the thing that I don't understand. Why is it impossible to make taco meat that tastes as good as Taco Bell's? Like you can't do it at home. You
There's
can't
something
make it at
about it,
home.
yeah.
There's no Mexican restaurants taco meat that tastes as good as Taco Bell's. I don't understand.
that has to say something about the meat. It's not really meat. It's really
well, whatever it is.
Actually, fun fact,
Sugary poop.
fun fact about that: Taco Bell was actually one of the more healthy and
it
sanitary
is.
locations.
That's exactly the reason. Well, it's one of the reasons I like it.
Because I mean,
You know?
even so, like I mean, if you think about it on a fatty side, I mean, just about every restaurant around town's going to be giving you cheeseburgers, and I mean, a lot of it comes to carbs because you get a lot of bread with everything.
Right.
Like,
Nathan Ayer
with
says all that sawdust gives it the flavor.
Some of that good T-Bell sawdust, some of that good stuff.
And mild sauce. Why is mild sauce so good? I don't
get it. I don't like. I mean, as far as like for heat, like the Fire and Diablo. I mean, they've got a little kick, but like it's not there. But the flavor's not
It's just
there.
I
would
like the
go
flavor.
back. I would go back to the mild, like you said, just because of the flavor. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is about it, but they nailed it.
Yeah.
They have absolutely nailed it.
But there's so much I like too, man. I like Nachos Bel Grande. I like Mexican pizza. I freaking love the steak quesadilla.
Yeah.
I love that cheesy potato burrito.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
I like
I
the
don't think
chili
there's anything in the
cheese.
menu I couldn't
Yeah.
eat.
chili cheese burritos and add sour cream. to
and
it.
that freaking caramel apple empanada. Oh my God, I love that thing.
Yep. And you can't, and that's another thing you can't eat without, you can eat it just as careful as you can,
Yeah.
but it still ends up
It
going down
squirts.
your arm or
Right,
something, or on the side of your mouth.
Yeah.
But now I just wish that they would be like I wish
Colon cleansing.
Yeah.
Somebody in the
That's sweet.
comments.
colon cleansing.
Taco Bell is a great weight loss program. Colon cleansing.
I could dig that. I like
Donnie Prunty says that.
Well, you know what? They are starting to add beer, and I mean the one there in Vegas, you can go in there and buy an actual margarita.
Oh, that's awesome.
And have Taco
I'd
Bell.
love to do that.
So talk about colon cleansing. You
That's
enter
the
a
Vegas
few
life
beers.
right there,
and-
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the shits from the beer, and then you get it from the Taco Bell later too. So you get it 2 stages. It comes in a time release.
hey, we're getting close to the end, and I told you that we would share the MOV What's Happening post of the week. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So
All
I
right,
don't.
let's see
Are
what's up
you?
here.
So there's a Facebook
Yeah,
group
I
called
follow
MOV
it.
What's
Yes,
Happening.
I
Are you
follow
on it?
it.
They have
Yeah.
15,000 followers.
Yeah.
We're trying to get their founder to come on here and talk about it because it's taken off like wildfire. Are you familiar with
Yeah.
it?
I've seen some of the posts.
Okay,
yeah.
so,
I don't
uh,
think I'm following them right now.
It's pretty.
but I know
It's
what you're
pretty.
talking
It's pretty cutthroat.
I saved a couple of the funniest posts that I sent to Craig
Oh,
these past couple
glorious.
weeks. So one of them was a guy named Jamie posted Googling marriage license info in West Virginia, and I found cousin marriages. You cannot marry your first cousin in West Virginia. However, you may marry your second or third cousin, etc. And there were 61 some comments on that one after that.
Oh God, I can only imagine the storm that created.
And let's see if I find the second one that I sent.
It's just like Bird Tramps that was around for a long time. It's like, man, they're doing some edgy things, but you know what? It was entertaining. They went through like 3 or 4 different pages at least. Oh my God, they kept it going too. They really, really kept it going, blasting people all over the place. It was like low degree World Star pretty much for, for
Yeah.
the MOV,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for Parkersburg.
Yep.
Oh, good.
While you're doing that, did any of you hear about the shooting over at Overtime Sports Bar?
Yeah.
No.
It was right across
There's
the
been a
street
lot.
from our business.
I did not, so tell me about it.
I was just There's just I heard about it earlier, but now I guess one of the people died. It says Parkersburg police said Chad Allen Hart, 38, was involved in a short verbal altercation with Stephen R. Griffith, 32.
Well, now I heard WTAP from some of my friends on Facebook that know one of the parties involved is claiming that they're using that's not the right person. Now they haven't caught anybody here. That's why you see at the end of that post, call the detective for this information. They haven't apprehended the guy that killed him, supposedly in self-defense. But you're not supposed to be carrying a firearm in a bar if you're drinking.
Not when you're drinking.
No. So I guess that's why he ran. But they're saying no, it wasn't him. It was his son. So
this happened inside the bar.
Yes,
outside.
Well,
in the parking
shooting
lot.
actually, there was an altercation inside the bar, and then they left the bar. And then that's when the guns.
The one guy shot. The one guy shot at the guy that's dead shot first, and then the other guy returned fire several times, and he was dead on scene.
See, this is what pisses me off. I mean, this is what we talked about when Sheriff Stevens was here. You got these freaking idiots out there that have handguns that everybody's allowed to have them now with no training. They can think they can be great out there.
It was a free idiot pass.
That they can just, that's not the law. Again, like you say, the law is you cannot have alcohol in your system and carry a handgun.
Right.
Absolutely.
And especially use it.
Right.
Which, I mean, even with that, there's a certain degree of businesses even around here that don't even allow you to carry. And if they catch you carrying, they automatically they send you out. It's like you're not allowed to carry in the premises, which is kind of funny and something I'll talk about as far as like gas stations go. Something that is really nitpicky to me is that the workers there are not allowed to conceal even if they have the permit. You're not allowed to have a gun on the premises at all. And it's because whenever you come into a scenario where there's a robbery, they expect you to just basically just go limp. Just be like, all right, take everything, get out. Just give them whatever they want and get them out.
Now, that's not odd, though, but
at the same time, they want you to try and apprehend somebody if they're trying to steal.
With a company-owned store, I know, I mean, DuPont, we can't conceal carry. We can keep them in our car and locked in a vault out in the parking lot, but we cannot carry it on site. But if you're an independent business owner, we've seen videos. You most definitely. I mean, there was a guy down in Torch, I think, West Virginia. Somebody tried to hold up the pharmacy, and the pharmacist had a concealed gun. That dude come in there and shot his ass dead.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
a lot of that, a lot of the wiggle room that comes to that, as far as like the regulations go, I feel like with that, a lot of it usually stems from the people that are on the job site that end up screwing everybody else over because somebody's dumb with it and they end up shooting somebody on the job in an unrightful situation, which causes that to go in effect, period. Because, I mean, there's just like with the stickers on buckets and all these warning labels you see on everything.
McDonald's coffee.
Everything's got a story for a reason. Every sticker, every label, every warning has a story to it. And it's usually because somebody has been ignorant with it and ended up causing themselves to get everybody. Like one bad apple ruins the bunch, as they say.
And actually, it was in Pinch, West Virginia, not Torch. I was thinking it's Pinch, but anyway.
So for the federal, and by the way, for the federal government, we have 3 armed guards at every entrance. We cannot carry, and if somebody goes through the metal detector, I want to see anybody out there go through the metal detector with a firearm and just watch what happens.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it would not be.
Has it happened yet?
No. They have caught employees accidentally going through, and even that, you get in a rash of shit. Yeah.
I figure. I mean, that's part of the law.
Federal, yeah.
Of course, that's a federal
the rules.
building too.
Right.
So I can completely understand the degree of security they need for something like that.
Yeah.
So can you go in you can go into a local park. You can have it in a local park, but can you state park?
They just ruled on something to that effect where, I saw a lot of discussion between hunters about that now you can, conceal, you can take handguns with you into state parks. They just had a ruling on that I was reading somewhere.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that one. I knew you can local parks because I actually questioned a little while back because there was a altercation or something in one of the local parks. But
That's something you wouldn't really think about either, or in question is like, because you see a park as a public place typically, you don't, you wouldn't think that you would have that kind of restriction, but at the same time, all the better in safety for for the younger ones and for women and children, etc.
But if it's concealed, how why would anybody know that you have it?
Also,
it would be if
also a
you'd
very
only
good point.
I guess it would only be if DNR would happen to stop you for something.
Because I mean, West Virginia's been able to open carry for years, right? Like you can open
and
carry.
Ohio also. Yeah.
So, and with the concealed law being, I guess, dropped down a little bit instead of being as strict as it was, I mean, it brought obviously a lot more light to the whole thing altogether. And of course, every average show is like, oh yeah, I got to go out and get a handgun now because I gotta start protecting myself. It's like, yeah, but you're not taking the training and
the training's important.
Common sense rather to operate it.
Yeah, I think you got to have the training. I agree.
You should, and whether
I agree with it, but
waive
doesn't
the
get
fees if they want to do something to that nature. If they're looking at it in the perspective that it's not right that everybody has to pay, but at least make sure that they're educated in taking the classes.
Or maybe even offer a discount in class for like a group class that they only do set times. That way you have to be within, a certain schedule in order to be able to take the rights of that and be able to get the benefits of that.
Right.
Okay, I found the second MOVU What's Happening post of the week. This is a good one. A lady named Samantha wrote, "Someone want to explain to me why a dude is carrying a bathtub down Covert Street at 4:30 a.m. And it says, like a legitimate bathtub from your bathroom."
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, compared to...
I thought it might have been one of those outside bathrooms you used out in the hills next to your hole in the ground, your outhouse.
Well, it does beat the usual overdose or...
I just thought at that time and I posted this like shortly after it was posted or took a picture of this shortly after it was posted, and there were 54 comments on it already.
Oh my God.
Did they give any more scoop to the story? Did the guy have a good reason to be carrying his bathtub?
I didn't go read the comments. I just snapped a picture of it and saved it for the show.
Did she put a picture of the guy with the bathtub?
No, I don't think so.
She missed out on prime opportunity.
She may have been seeing some visuals or something.
She could have been the founder of the next meme on the internet that blows up. I mean, she could have put herself on the map for that.
Yeah.
People have taken dumber pictures and gotten on the map for a lot less than that. That's for sure.
So, unless we have maybe we'll do a special edition this Saturday if you come over to the party or do something or other. Maybe we can have a special edition for maybe a pre-party podcast maybe. Otherwise, May 21st and May 28th, the next 2 Sundays, we will not be on the air. I'm going to be doing a DJ gig that I had volunteering for a school that I'd already made obligation to. And then on the 28th, going to be at Myrtle Beach. So unless I do a podcast from the beach, which it
might happen.
I don't know, but probably not going to be thinking too much about that. So, but anyway, we'll try to do a show maybe this Saturday for pre UFC party.
Sounds like a plan.
I think it's time to take it home, man.
All right.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to Robert's Report Sunday and every Sunday, 6 to 8. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Zach. Come back and see us again sometime.
Thank you, sir, for hosting us.
Thank you.
Watching